Drafting worldwide, wide. Welcome to today's Revit's Tips and Tricks. Today we're going to talk about constraint-driven dimensions. So whenever I'm laying out a floor plan, and I just have a very, very basic floor plan on here, someone might have sketched this out on a piece of paper and said this is kind of what I want for my exterior dimensions. So whenever I'm actually going to do this in Revit, I'm going to show you the workflow that I would go through. So I'm going to start out, and this is just a generic 6-inch wall, and I'm going to start drawing this. So a lot of people would spend a lot of time trying to get that first dimension to be 10, and then the next dimension to be 4, and then the next dimension to be 14, or they might type those in as they're going, and then as I change things, those don't work anyways. So what I do instead, I don't use those temporary dimensions. Instead, I just go around and I kind of get it close. So my first one is about 10 feet, so I'll go there. Next one's up about 4 feet. I'll go there. I'll come over like that, drop down here, take this one over like that. And I'm just kind of getting that similar shape that I have for the rest of them. So I'll go through and do this. Then, instead of using temporary dimensions, which show up whenever you click on the wall, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add permanent dimensions at this point. So I go over to Annotate, choose Aligned Dimensions. I come up here and I make sure I'm going to use wall faces. I can't use the wall center lines for this. I'm going to use my wall faces, and I'm going to pick the outside of the wall. I stay away from the corner because I don't want it to pick the wrong thing. I come down here, I pick the outside face of that wall, the outside face of that wall, the outside face of that wall, and the outside face of that wall. I bring them up here and I drop them. You notice I've also set the scale to 1/4 of an inch equals a foot, which is going to be my permanent scale. So rather waiting until later to change the scale, I get that set up now so my dimensions look good. If I would have left that at 1/8 inch equals a foot, the default, it looked like that. So I'm going to put that back to 1/4 inch equals a foot. And now I have 10, 14, 12. So I'm going to start on my left side. I'm going to leave this wall right where it's at, and I'm going to click on this dimension. And I'm going to not click on the permanent or the temporary dimension. I'm going to click on the permanent one. I'm going to type in 10, enter. Revit uses feet as the default. It's another little tip. Then I'm going to move over, click on this one. I'm going to make that 14, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make this one 12. So it automatically forced those to be those dimensions. Now I'm going to do this side. So again, align dimension, and the nice thing about having this as the wall face, I can just click real quickly. Now in this case, I purposely left this one out, and I'm going to show you why in a second. So I'm going to zoom in on this. I have 8 foot and then 6 feet. So I'm going to click there and click on the permanent dimension, type in 8. Then I'm going to click on this one, click on the permanent dimension, click 6. And since I forgot that one, rather than coming back here and adding another one at this point, which I could do and get those lined up, instead of doing that, I'm going to click on the dimensions, and I'm going to come up here and hit the Edit Witness Lines. And then I'm going to add the dimension that I want to add. So just the same thing, if I wanted to delete these ones or remove these lines, I could hit edit witness line and I could remove those. And I could have that overall dimension. And edit witness line. Click that, and then I'm going to adjust this one to be 8 feet. So I click on that last wall, I type in 8, hit enter, and I'll do one more just for demonstration purposes. And I have 4, 10, and 8. So very quickly, dimension from there to there, to there, to there, bring this out, click on this wall, make it 4, click on this wall, make the permanent dimension 10, click on this wall, and it is already 8 because this was correct. And that's a real quick look at how to do constraint driven floor plans.